Alright guys, we're back here for another quick chassis focus video. This is what I would call a Hannah style car here in the Northwest. It's a pretty standard hinge design. It seems really simple, however, building them effectively and having them run as good as a car like this runs can be pretty challenging. This car I run with like Trans Am bodies or something similar, so it's a little narrower with a heavy body. That's why you see some lead tuning on here. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm trying not to shake the camera as much as I can here. So this car is made up of 92 thousandths brass pans. The outers are hinged, as you can see. The center is 3/4 inches wide. These pans not only have the hinge motion here, but they also are able to slide back and forth. It's very important with a car like this that the body gets taped on with these in the same position, so they can either be full forward or full backward, but you don't want them offset like this. What this allows it to do is have a lot of misalignment of the center pans as you're going into a turn. So when this is taped on, the pans can telescope both directions and basically slow the reaction of the weight of the body onto the chassis. So what you have here is this main plate with the 332 tube soldered on, and then these long 062 wires that go to this forged motor bracket. Then you have a second wire here that's bent in a loop and goes down the outside, connecting the pans to the inner chassis, but then not connecting them back until clear back here at the back of the motor box. And this is something that's different on this car than a lot of other hinged cars that I see. Normally they'll have the pan soldered to this wire and then have some kind of bump stop in here to keep the rear of the pan sagging. And this goes ahead and connects all the way back here. That does equal a stiffer motor box. You can see that's about all the flexion that it has. A lot stiffer than some other cars I see. However, this car tends to run really well, so I think that this is an advantageous design for at least these heavy, fast hard body cars. The reason I mention that this is difficult to produce is this U-shaped wire right here has to be not only perfectly spaced, but also perfectly parallel to each other on both sides for these pans to move freely. And I've recreated this chassis design multiple times, and it can be really tough. I usually have to bend 3 or 4 of these wires before I get one that I feel like works really well. And then this center pan can move back and forth on that U-shaped wire as well as spread from the pan. So you can see all the various ways it's disconnected right here. Alright, so that's kind of explanation on how it works as far as the pan mountings. We'll take a look here at how we hold the pans up. It has this rod that runs across the car right here, and then these basically bump stops that stop the pans from dropping below ride height. As you can see, you can adjust by like crimping these wires a little bit or tapping them to change the ride height of the pans. I typically just put shrink wrap or some kind of tape on there like you see here if the ride height gets too low. Depending on the weight of the body, your pans might go lower than this center chassis, and then you would like to get that lifted back up for tech and proper clearance, so you'd go ahead and add tape or bend those wires to lift the ride height up. It has a 062 wire sprung front end. Quite a bit of camber on this car. Probably, I don't know, I'm guessing 5 or 6 degrees when it's on the ground. Some people like the camber, some don't. On this car it seems to work really well. I have no complaints. One thing I have done to improve the performance of this car, besides the lead, is a good trick if your car seems too soft in the front. In other words, it's loose or lifting the inside rear tire too much, is adding some kind of silicone or shoe goo or something over the wires here at the connection will add just a little stiffness, and you can just add more and more silicone as you like. Um, you can see this kept coming loose, so this was a really fast, quick race fix. To keep it from coming loose, I simply melted the guide on top of the nut in between rounds. So that'll get changed out before the next race. Some other good tuning tips for these hinge style cars is it's absolutely imperative that these hinges are as free as possible. I mean, they have to move super freely. So one of the common mistakes is people will oil all these slides, and actually even the thinnest oil you can find down in there for that distance will create more of a bind than just keeping this car oil free and corrosion free. So I'll oil it and then I'll blow it out with brake clean and compressed air or something to make sure it's totally clean before I go ahead and race it. And even oiling the bearings here and stuff will get some oil slung over here, and I'll continually make sure this is clean so that these move just as freely as possible. Anyway, that's my second 124th racing chassis I'm going to share with you. This car has been super successful for me. Couple race wins, lots of races in the hunt, and then sometimes you just end up with a body like this after a race, and it's just hard to come back from a wreck that size. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you have any questions or want to see something specific, and we'll keep doing them.